Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hello everyone. Today we are going to start the basic concepts about chemistry. In this tutorial, we will cover some basic concepts in chemistry. We will talk about matter, property, atoms, molecules, and types of molecules. Before going to start chemistry, let me ask you some questions. Have you ever wondered why the stars shine? Every night we see on the sky stars are shining. Why these stars shine? From where this light is coming? Or in the fall, the leaves on the plant trees change their color. Why the leaves change their color in the fall? Have you ever thought about that? Why keeping food cold reduce or slows their spoilage? We used to keep food in fridge or refrigerator, or in the summer the food is spoiled very rapidly, while in the winter the food can be kept for longer without spoilage. So, what is the basic reason behind this spoilage of food and how can we prevent them? How our bodies require food to maintain our lives? Is there any reason why we eat food on daily basis, two or three times a day? Or how can we get electricity from batteries? How batteries generate electricity? So these are few examples and there are countless many other questions that can be answered by chemistry. So chemistry is very important in our life and we can answer several questions with the knowledge of chemistry. What is chemistry? Chemistry is the study of matter and the properties of matter and the changes that it undergoes. Alternatively, we can define chemistry as the branch of science that deals with the structure, composition, properties, and transformation they undergo. The principles that operate behind these transformation of matter are studied in chemistry. So chemistry deals with the structure of matter, composition of matter, transformation of matter, and the laws and principles that governs these transformation are the domain of chemistry. Chemistry is everywhere around us. In this universe, everywhere we can find chemistry, from simple processes like cooking food in the kitchen to very complex processes like the development of drugs for cancer. Chemistry is also within us, the biochemical processes taking place inside the body. Chemistry is also around us in this universe, on the earth, and also in the far galaxies. So, what is matter? In the definition, we said that chemistry is the study of matter. What is matter exactly? So, matter is the physical material of the universe. It must have mass and occupy space. So chemistry is anything that has mass and occupy space is called matter. And the second term we used in the definition, we study the properties of matter. So what is a property? Property is any characteristic that allows us to recognize a particular type of matter and to distinguish it from other types. So property can be anything like the color of matter. Color is the property. By means of color, we can distinguish or differentiate one substance from the other. So property is anything, any characteristic that can be used for differentiation between two things. Examples of matter. As we said that matter can be anything that has mass and occupy space. Look at yourself. The cloth you are wearing, that is matter. The smartphone in your hand, that is matter. The earth you are standing on or sitting on is matter. Everything you can see or you can feel with any of the five senses. Anything that can be sensed with any of the five senses is a matter. So, this universe is composed of more than 100 elements. Up till now, we have discovered 118 or 119 elements, but out of them, 100 are very important, and these 100 substances that combine together to form this matter in the pure form, they are called elements. In this universe, we observe different phenomena, we observe different things. So we make observations at the macroscopic level. Visually, through our eyes, we observe things. But when chemistry answer these observations or chemistry justify these observations, then chemist thinks in terms of atoms, in terms of molecules, how atoms or molecules interact with each other. So that defines the properties or observations are the changes we observe at the macroscopic level. So observation is based on macroscopic level, that is the macroscopic realm. Macro means large. We make observation in the real world at macroscopic level, but we think, chemists think at submicroscopic level. Submicroscopic means the particles that cannot be seen through microscope. So it is beyond, it is below the level of microscope, atoms and molecules. We think in terms of atoms, in terms of molecule, the interaction between atoms and molecule. These observations are justified with the atomic or submicroscopic particles interaction. So chemistry is basically the thinking at atomic or molecular level, and to justify or to answer the questions or properties or observations at the macroscopic level. What is atom? Atom is the smallest particle of matter that can take part in a chemical reaction. The smallest particle of matter that can take part in a chemical reaction is called atom. Now, atoms are infinitesimally small building blocks of matter. Infinitesimally mean extremely small, that cannot be further divided into further smaller particles. That is indivisible. Initially, it was thought that atom is indivisible part of matter, the smallest particle of matter that cannot be further divided. But now we know many subatomic particles. We will discuss in this slide later. We know many subatomic particles. So the modern definition of atom is the smallest particle of matter that can take part in a chemical reaction is called atom. So atom is the smallest or extremely small particle of this matter. And each element is composed of a unique particle or unique set of atoms. Atoms in one element are totally different from the atoms of another element. So, based on the arrangement of different elements, we can arrange elements inside one element, atoms inside one element in different ways. So, the arrangement can allow us to, determine the structure of this element or molecule. By changing the arrangement, the structure of the element or the compound is changing. Like we we know about the allotropes or polymorphs. So those are just the structural differences that make them different from each other. Although chemically they are same, but due to the structural arrangement, they have some different properties. So by changing the arrangement, we can change the structure of the atom, of the structure of the matter. And by changing the type of atoms in a molecule, can make new composition, and this new composition results in the formation of new matter, that is compound. So different types of atoms when combined together form a compound, a new substance. And every new composition gives us new matter in terms of compounds, molecules of compounds. So different types of atoms, when they combine together, they form new compositions. We can vary composition. We can prepare matter in different ways by changing the composition, and we can change the properties of one type of matter, pure matter, by changing the atoms, arrangement of the atoms inside the molecule. So the subatomic particles, up till now we have discovered so many subatomic particles, but among them electrons, protons and neutrons are very important. And apart of these, there are so many other subatomic particles. Now, can you imagine how small or big an atom would be? In the previous slide, we saw that atom is indivisible, or atoms are submicroscopic particles. So submicroscopic means they cannot be seen with the microscope. It means they are extremely small. And to take it in a perspective, if you take a human hair, and around this human hair, in the diameter around this human hair, you can arrange 1 million. 1 million is 10 lakes. So you can arrange 1 million carbon atoms around this human hair, like this. You can make a layer of carbon atoms around a human hair, and it will accommodate 1 million carbon atoms. So now you can imagine that atoms are extremely small. Molecule. Molecule is any smallest entity that can exist independently in nature. Any smallest particle that is capable of independent existence, that can exist independently without making any type of interaction or bonds with other atoms or molecules. If an entity, the smallest entity that is capable of independent existence, we call such smallest entity as molecule. Now, the number of atoms can be different in different molecules. Based on the number of atoms, we can classify molecules into monoatomic and polyatomic molecules. Mono means one. Monoatomic molecules, mono means one. So, if a molecule is made up of only one atom, we will call such kind of atoms as monoatomic molecule. These are actually atoms, but as they are able to exist independently, so that is why we call them molecules. Examples are noble gases like helium. So helium exists in the form of He atoms, and this helium atom, which is not making any sort of bond with another atom, is helium has complete duplet outermost shell, and it does not need any further electrons to accommodate in its outermost shell. So helium atoms are also called helium molecules. Same is the case with neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon. All these noble gases exist in the form of atoms. And these atoms are also called molecules because they are independently existing in nature. They do not make any sort of bond, chemical bond with other atoms of itself or different other elements. So atoms that are capable of independent existence, we call them monoatomic molecules. And molecules made up of more than one atoms are called polyatomic molecules. So on the basis of number of atoms, if there are two atoms in the molecule, we call them diatomic molecule. Di mean two. In the class of diatomic molecule, common examples of hydrogen. So hydrogen gas exist in nature in the form of H2 molecule. There are two hydrogen atoms in one molecule of hydrogen. Hydrogen atom cannot exist independently in nature in the form of atom like H. It always form or make bond with another hydrogen atom. So two hydrogen atoms combined together, they form a molecule, and the molecule is capable of independent existence in nature. So hydrogen gas is made up of H2 molecules. So since there are two hydrogen atom in the molecule, we call it diatomic molecule. Same is the case with nitrogen, oxygen, chlorine, bromine, iodine, etc. So these are diatomic molecules. If there are three atoms in the molecule, we call it triatomic molecule. Tri means three. Common example is water molecule. In water molecule, we have one oxygen and two hydrogen. So there are total 3 atoms, 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen, and that is why we called it a triatomic molecule. There are two kinds of elements, hydrogen and oxygen, but there are 3 atoms. So on the basis of number of atoms, we called it triatomic molecule. Similarly, carbon dioxide, CO2. So there is one carbon atom and two oxygen atoms. Totally there are 3 atoms, and that is why we call it triatomic molecule. There is double bond between carbon and oxygen on both sides. Tetraatomic molecules, tetra means 4. If there are 4 atoms in a molecule, such molecules are known as tetraatomic molecule. Common example is ammonia, NH3. So there is 1 nitrogen and 3 hydrogen atoms. Now the polyatomic molecules can further be classified on the basis of kind of atoms in it. Previously we classified molecules on the basis of number of atoms. Now we classify the polyatomic molecules which has more than two or more than 2 atoms on the basis of kind of atoms in it. Now if the molecule is made up of same kind of atoms, all the atoms are similar of the same element, we call it homoatomic molecule. Homo means same. If all the atoms are of the same element, such molecules are called homoatomic molecule. Now again the number can be different, but atoms would be of the same element. Example is Cl2 molecule. So there are 2 chlorine atoms. It is a diatomic molecule, but on the basis of kind of atom we will call it homoatomic molecule. It is a diatomic molecule and a homoatomic molecule. Similarly, the white phosphorus P4, it has 4 phosphorus atoms tetrahedrally arranged. So it is a tetraatomic molecule on the basis of number of atoms, but all the atoms, all 4 atoms are of phosphorus, the same element. So we call it homoatomic molecule. Tetraatomic on the basis of number of atoms and homoatomic on the basis of kind of atom. And same is the case with sulfur 8, S8. Sulfur exists in the form of S8 molecules, long chain boat shaped molecules. So S8, there are 8 sulfur atom in S8 molecule, sulfur molecule. It is homoatomic molecule. And the second kind of polyatomic molecule based on kind of atom is heteroatomic molecule. Hetero means different. So there will be 2 or more kind of atoms in such molecules. And the common example is HCl. So hydrogen and chlorine atoms, they form bond, and it is a diatomic molecule, but since 2 atoms are different from each other, that is why we called it heteroatomic molecule. Diatomic, heteroatomic molecule. The number of atoms can be 3. For example, in water, H2O, there are 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. So it is a triatomic but heteroatomic. And same is case with CH4. Pentaatomic, there are 5 atoms, but since there are to different kind of atoms like carbon and hydrogen, so we call it heteroatomic. Pentaatomic based on number of atoms, and heteroatomic based on kind of atoms.